preparing a simple campfire, breakfast, and what the Bible says about simplicity. It's 4 in the morning. You're awake, not because you chose to be, because sleep left you again. Your eyes open to the darkness of your bedroom, and you can feel that weight on your chest before you even remember why it's there. Your phone glows next to the bed. You reach for it without thinking. Scroll. Just for a moment, you tell yourself. Just until your heart stops racing. 2 hours later, you're still scrolling. There's a screenshot of someone's vacation home, a kitchen that costs more than your entire mortgage, granite countertops, a refrigerator that probably has more storage than your garage. Then comes the wellness influencer with her green juice cleanse. Then, the entrepreneur with his morning routine that requires 45 minutes and 3 different supplements you've never heard of. Then the family dinner. Not just any dinner. A catered affair with a private chef, 8 courses, wine pairings. Everything is more. More expensive. More curated. More perfect. And here you are, in your ordinary bed, in your ordinary house, with your ordinary life. Your stomach is tight. Not hungry. Anxious. There's a heaviness in your jaw that you've felt before. You know this feeling. It comes every morning now. This creeping sense that you're doing everything wrong, that you don't have enough, that you're not enough, that somewhere between the moment you woke up and right now, you failed before the day even started. You think about breakfast. You think about how even that feels complicated now. Your pantry is full, but nothing feels right. Is cereal too simple? Too lazy? Should you make something with eggs? But eggs from where? Are they organic? Are they pasture-raised? Are they ethically sourced? Is there even such a thing as truly ethical food anymore? Your coffee maker sits on the counter. You've had the same one for 7 years. It works fine. It makes coffee. But you scroll past an ad for a machine that costs $800. It has a touch screen. It steams milk automatically. It has reviews with words like game changer and life altering. When did breakfast become so heavy? You roll out of bed and walk to the window. It's still dark outside. The world hasn't woken up yet. There's something about this hour that feels honest. No one's watching. No one's judging. There's just you and the quiet and the crushing weight of knowing that even the simplest parts of your day, something as basic as eating, have been colonized by perfectionism, by comparison, by this impossible standard that's been slipped into your mind so slowly you can't even remember when it got there. This is where I want to start with you today. Because if I'm being honest with you like I promised myself I would be, this isn't really a story about breakfast. It never is. If you've been feeling this weight, this grinding pressure that even the simplest moments of your life have to be optimized, documented, or elevated, then this conversation is for you. Subscribe now. Not because I'm asking you to, but because what we're about to talk about will only make sense if you come back to it. Bookmark it. Return to it when you're scrolling at 4 in the morning again. Over the next 30 minutes, I'm going to take you somewhere that most of us have completely forgotten how to go. I'm going to show you what the Bible has always known about simplicity, about the profound peace that comes from doing less, from wanting less, from being satisfied with less. But here's what I want you to understand before we go any further. If you ignore what we're about to discuss, if you keep chasing the next upgrade, the next morning routine, the next optimization, you're going to wake up at 65 years old and realize you've spent your entire adult life never actually having breakfast. You've had performance, you've had content, you've had the photograph of breakfast, but you've never just sat down and eaten something simple and felt grateful for it. You've never had that. And once you reach a certain age, certain things become harder to get back. Let me tell you about the morning that changed everything for me. It was 15 years ago. I was 53 years old. My wife Sarah and I had decided to take our grandchildren camping. Just a weekend. Nothing elaborate. A state park about 2 hours from where we lived. We rented 2 cabins, basic ones. No air conditioning, no Wi-Fi. We told the kids it was going to be an adventure, and they brought their devices anyway, hoping they could find service near the bathrooms. The first morning, I woke up before everyone else. That's what I do. I've always been an early riser. In my 30 years of counseling, I learned that the quiet hours before dawn are when people's real thoughts emerge. Not the ones they want to think, the real ones. So I woke up. It was still mostly dark. There was a chill in the air, the kind of cold that makes you pull your jacket tighter and feel alive because of it. I walked outside the cabin and started setting up the campfire. We had brought supplies, bacon, eggs, bread, the simplest things. No gourmet spice blends, no heritage grain flour sourced from a sustainable farm upstate. Just food. The kind of food my grandfather used to cook when I was a boy. As I was arranging the wood, one of my grandsons came out. He was about 12. Still that age where he was caught between childhood and whatever comes after. He had his phone in his hand, dead battery. He'd forgotten to charge it. And instead of complaining, instead of going back inside to find a charger, he just stood there, next to me, watching me arrange the kindling. "Can I help?" he asked. We spent 40 minutes building that fire. We didn't talk much. Just the sounds of the wood settling, the wind moving through the pines, the occasional crack as a branch broke. When the fire was finally hot enough, I started on the bacon. I used a cast iron skillet that had been my mother's. The bacon sizzled. The sound alone, I'd forgotten that sound. That immediate physical response of meat hitting hot iron. The smell of salt and smoke and fat. The whole thing is sensory in a way that doesn't translate to anyone who hasn't been there. My grandson sat on a log near the fire and just watched. No phone, no entertainment. Just the presence of watching food be made over an open flame. "Grandpa," he said, "this is the best breakfast I've ever had." And here's the thing that gutted me. We hadn't eaten yet. The eggs weren't even in the pan. When he said that, something cracked open in me. I realized in that exact moment that I had spent his entire life trying to give him experiences. Camera trips, concert tickets, the best restaurants, video games that cost $60, educational supplements, enrichment camps. I was operating under the assumption that more was better, that complexity equaled quality, that if an experience wasn't optimized, documented, and shareable, then it wasn't worth having. And it took a 12-year-old boy with a dead phone to show me that I had it backwards. He wasn't grateful for the breakfast because it was the most delicious thing in the world. He was grateful because, for the first time in his life, someone he loved was giving him their complete, undivided attention while doing something real, something necessary, something that had zero performance value. No Instagram moment, no metric to track, just breakfast. I don't know if you can feel the weight of that realization. It wasn't gentle. It was like someone had turned a light on in a room I'd been living in my entire adult life, and I could suddenly see all the clutter, all the excess, all the ways I'd been training myself and my family to believe that simplicity was a failure state, that doing something the basic way was settling, that anything that didn't require optimization was beneath us. And I thought about my wife, Sarah. I had encouraged her to get a fancy coffee machine. I had downloaded apps to track our diet. I had spent an afternoon researching the best way to meal plan. I had turned eating, something humans have done simply for 10,000 years, into a project requiring expertise and equipment and intention. The days that followed that camping trip, I went through what I can only describe as a psychological unraveling. It wasn't a breakdown. It was a breakdown of something inside me that had needed breaking. I started noticing things. How my clients would come in. Successful people, wealthy people, people with every advantage. And they would all say some version of the same thing. I'm exhausted, and I don't even know why. I should be happy. I have everything. And I realized they didn't have everything. They had the opposite. They had a life so full of striving and complexity that they'd lost the ability to be satisfied with the simple things. They couldn't enjoy a meal without photographing it. They couldn't take a walk without tracking their steps. They couldn't rest without feeling guilty. They couldn't do anything without asking, is this enough? Is this good enough? Am I enough? If what you're feeling right now is a deep resonance with that, if you recognize yourself in that description, then what I'm about to share with you needs to be heard. Leave a comment. Tell me. Tell someone. Name the one simple thing you've made complicated. Because in naming it, you take the first step toward undoing it. Now, here's where I'm going to take you, and I need you to stay with me. There's a story in the Bible. It's easy to overlook. Most people skip right past it. But it's one of the most psychologically precise moments in Scripture. It's in Luke chapter 10. Two sisters, Martha and Mary. Jesus comes to visit. He's tired. He's been traveling. This is their moment to serve the teacher, to prove their hospitality, to show their devotion through excellence. But Martha, and I need you to understand Martha before we go deeper, Martha was not a bad person. She wasn't cruel or selfish. She was conscientious. She was capable. She was the kind of person who saw what needed to be done and did it. She understood excellence. She understood standards. She wanted to make sure that when the most important person came into her home, everything would be perfect. So Martha begins to prepare. I'm imagining her in her kitchen, her hands moving quickly. She's chopping vegetables. She's checking a pot. She's mentally calculating how long everything will take. The bread is rising. The wine is the right temperature. She's arranging things, making sure nothing is forgotten. She's operating at that level of control and precision that most of us have learned to believe is virtue. Hard work, dedication, excellence in the details. And as she's doing all of this, she becomes aware of something. A heaviness, a tightness in her shoulders. Because even as she's working, even as she's doing what she thinks she should be doing, she can hear sounds from the other room. Laughter, conversation. She can feel the presence of her sister Mary sitting at the feet of Jesus. Just sitting, listening, being present. Martha can feel the gap. She can feel herself working while the moment is happening without her. And here's where the psychology becomes precise. Martha doesn't just feel sad. She feels abandoned. She feels like her effort isn't being seen. She feels like the thing she's doing, this important, necessary thing, isn't valued. And worst of all, she feels like she's missing something irreplaceable while she's doing it. So Martha does what I've seen thousands of people do. She lets the resentment build. She lets it build until she can't contain it anymore. And she goes into that room, and she says, and I want you to hear the edge in her voice, Lord, do you not care that my sister has left me to serve alone? Tell her to help me. But listen to what Jesus says. He doesn't praise her work. He doesn't say, Martha, your effort is noble. Let me help you. He says something that must have felt like a knife. Martha, Martha, you are anxious and troubled about many things, but one thing is necessary. Mary has chosen what is better, and it will not be taken away from her. Now, most sermons I've heard about this passage, they make it about work versus rest. But that's not what's happening here. This is about something much deeper. This is about the difference between a life centered on doing and a life centered on being. This is about how we can become so focused on the performance of our lives that we miss the presence of the people in them. Martha was anxious. The scripture is explicit about this. She was troubled. Her mind was fragmented. She was operating out of a psychology of scarcity. Like there wasn't enough time, enough capacity, enough worthiness to go around. So she had to work harder. She had to prove something. She had to make the moment perfect, because if she didn't, if she stopped, if she just sat down, then what would that say about her? Mary, by contrast, had somehow understood something that Martha hadn't, that the presence of the person in front of her mattered more than the perfection of the context around them. That sometimes the most important thing you can do is nothing. You can just sit. You can just listen. You can just be. And do you know what the most psychologically devastating part of that story is? Martha's suffering is entirely self-inflicted. Jesus didn't demand a perfect meal. The disciples didn't criticize her cooking. The only voice saying that everything had to be perfect was the one inside her own head. The voice that had learned, somewhere along the way, that her worth was directly proportional to what she produced. Where did that voice come from for Martha? I don't know. Maybe her mother had been the same way. Maybe she'd learned it from her culture. Maybe it was just the particular way her nervous system had been wired. But somehow, she had internalized a belief that doing more was better. That complexity equaled care. That simplicity was a failure. And I'm going to tell you something that I've seen prove true in 30 years of practice. That same voice lives in most of us. We've all got a Martha inside, and that Martha is exhausted. So here's what I want to walk you through now. 3 things. 3 profound shifts that happened to me and to hundreds of my clients once we understood what Martha was really struggling with. And I'm going to be very specific about how to apply these to your actual life. Not theoretical, not inspirational, actionable. The first thing is this. You have to understand that simplicity is not a failure state. It's a choice, and choices require intention. Here's what I mean. Your brain, the modern brain anyway, has been trained to believe that the default state of a good life is complexity. If your morning routine isn't complicated, you're not optimizing. If your breakfast isn't made with intentionality and precision, you're settling. If your day doesn't feel full and managed, you're not living up to your potential. So you layer on complexity. You add tools. You add systems. You add the burden of having to make the right choice at every moment. But here's the neurological truth. Your brain doesn't like complexity. It drains your prefrontal cortex. It depletes your willpower. It makes decision fatigue real and measurable. Every single choice, even small ones, uses glucose. It uses neurotransmitters. It uses your finite capacity. So when Martha is standing in her kitchen, worrying about the wine temperature and the vegetable cut and the bread rise time and the table arrangement, her brain is under siege. She's made breakfast, something that could be simple, into a series of micro decisions, each one requiring willpower, each one carrying stakes, each one potentially wrong. Now, here's the part that's hard to accept. You have to deliberately choose simplicity, because simplicity doesn't sell anything. The people making money off your anxiety have a vested interest in making you believe that simple is not good enough. A coffee machine that just makes coffee doesn't have a marketing budget. But a coffee machine with Bluetooth integration and a touchscreen and compatibility with 17 different apps, that has a marketing budget. That has a story. That has promised transformation. So choosing simplicity becomes an act of rebellion. It becomes a decision to say, I'm not going to optimize this. I'm not going to upgrade this. I'm not going to make this harder than it needs to be. Let me give you a concrete example. Let's say you decide that you're going to make breakfast simple. Genuinely simple. You're going to have oatmeal. Just oatmeal. Not quinoa porridge with superfoods and goji berries and almond milk sourced from a specific region of California. Just oats, water or milk. Maybe some honey. That's it. Now, your brain, because it's been trained to believe that complexity equals quality, will resist this. You'll think about it, and a voice will emerge. It might say something like, "But oatmeal is boring. You're settling. Everyone else is having acai bowls. You're going to feel inadequate eating oatmeal." Or, "But aren't you supposed to be doing intermittent fasting? Or keto, or something?" That resistance is real. It's neurological. The brain has been conditioned to interpret simplicity as deprivation. So you have to push through that. And here's how you do it practically. You sit down with that bowl of oatmeal. You do something radical. You pay attention to it. You taste it. You notice the warmth. You notice the texture. You eat it slowly, with intention, not while scrolling or working or in your car. And what you're doing in that moment is retraining your brain to associate simplicity with presence, with satisfaction, with enoughness. I have a client, let me call him David, who came to me 3 years ago. He was a vice president at a tech company, high salary, 2 cars, a house he was perpetually renovating, a fitness routine that required 2 hours a day, a supplement regimen that required a spreadsheet to manage. He was successful by every external measure, and he was miserable. He couldn't remember the last time he'd eaten a meal without checking his email simultaneously. He couldn't remember the last time he'd felt rested. We talked about Martha, and something shifted. He decided to do one thing. He committed to eating 1 meal a week, just one, with no device in sight, no phone, no laptop, just the meal and his own mind. The first week, he lasted 4 minutes before needing to do something with his hands. He was genuinely anxious. The second week, he made it 8 minutes. By the 4th week, he was able to sit with the meal and actually taste it. And you know what he told me? He said, "I'm remembering what food is supposed to do. It's not supposed to be optimal. It's supposed to nourish me." That seems simple. It is simple. But it required him to choose simplicity in defiance of everything his conditioning had taught him. The second thing you have to understand is this. Your need for perfection is actually a fear of insignificance. Now, I want to be very careful here. I'm not saying that having standards is bad. I'm not saying that craftsmanship and care aren't valuable. What I'm saying is that when you add complexity to simple things, when you can't just have breakfast without it being a production, there's usually something underneath that. A fear. Usually, it's the fear that if you're not doing something exceptional, if you're not constantly proving your worth through effort and optimization, then you're nothing. You're invisible. You don't matter. Martha's anxiety wasn't about whether the food would taste good. The food would have tasted fine no matter what. Martha's anxiety was about whether she would be seen, whether her effort would be witnessed and valued. She had learned somewhere that her worth was measured in what she produced. And if she stopped producing, if she chose presence over perfection, then who would she be? This is a deep psychological wound, and most of us carry it. We've been taught, in school, in work, in social media, that you're only valuable if you're exceptional. If you're only doing what's expected, then you're failing. So you layer on the extra. You add the complexity. You optimize beyond the point of reason. And you tell yourself it's because you care. It's because you want excellence. But really, it's because you're terrified that if you stop trying so hard, if you just be ordinary, then you'll discover that you are, in fact, ordinary. And ordinary doesn't matter. But here's the truth that the Bible keeps trying to tell us. Ordinary is exactly where God meets us. The disciples weren't exceptional people. They weren't the smartest, or the most talented, or the most impressive. They were just people. Fishermen, tax collectors, regular, ordinary people. And what made them significant wasn't what they did or what they achieved. It was that they were chosen. They were known. They were loved simply for being. So the psychological work here is this. You have to grieve the belief that you have to earn your own existence. That's what needs to happen. Not intellectually, emotionally. You have to feel the sadness of realizing how much energy you've spent trying to become someone impressive, when what was actually needed all along was just to be yourself. I had a client once, a woman named Carol, who spent 30 years building a successful interior design business. She was known for her perfectionism, her taste, her ability to transform spaces. But when she retired, she went into a depression so severe she could barely get out of bed. And do you know what she told me? She said, "Now, I'm just a regular person. I'm nobody." It took us months to help her understand that she had never actually been her accomplishments. She was a person who had accomplishments, and the person underneath had been invisible to herself for 3 decades. She didn't know how to just exist. She didn't know how to have value without proving something. So here's how you work with this practically. And this is going to sound strange, but stay with me. You have to deliberately do something ordinary. Not poorly, ordinarily. You take a walk. Not a fitness walk where you're tracking your heart rate and your steps and your calorie burn. Just a walk. You look at things. You notice things. You see a bird or a cloud or a particular way the light hits the pavement. And you're not doing anything. You're not producing anything. You're not getting stronger or smarter or more impressive. You're just being a person taking a walk. And in that moment, if you can sit with the anxiety of not accomplishing anything, if you can tolerate the feeling of insignificance, if you can just breathe through it for long enough, something shifts. Your nervous system starts to recalibrate. It starts to understand that you don't have to earn the right to exist. The third thing is this. Simplicity creates the conditions for connection, and connection is the antidote to anxiety. You see, Martha was anxious, and anxiety is, in its essence, a lonely experience. It's your brain trying to protect you from something that feels dangerous. And when you're inside anxiety, the only person in the room is you. Your thoughts, your fears, your sense of responsibility. That's isolation. But Mary, when Mary sat down and listened to Jesus, she was doing the opposite of isolating. She was connecting. She was present with another person. And that presence, that connection, is the most powerful anxiolytic in the world. More powerful than any medication. More powerful than any productivity system. Think about the simple campfire breakfast I described. The reason that moment mattered so much to my grandson wasn't because the food was better. It was because he was completely present with another person who was completely present with him. In that moment of simplicity, there was no space for anxiety. There was just 2 people, and fire, and food, and silence. And here's why this matters so much right now. We're living through a collective anxiety epidemic. Not because life is actually more dangerous, but because we've made everything more complicated. We've filled every moment with content. We've turned eating into a statement. We've turned rest into a performance. We've eliminated silence. We've eliminated the space where real connection happens. So when you simplify, you're not just making your morning routine easier. You're creating the conditions where you can actually be present with the people in your life. You can actually notice them. You can actually respond to them. Let me give you an example. You're sitting at breakfast with your family. Everyone's phone is at the table. Everyone's mind is elsewhere. There's food, but there's no actual eating happening. There's just consuming, fueling. getting this task done so you can move on to the next task. Now, imagine that breakfast is simple. Eggs, toast, coffee. Everyone puts their phone in another room, and for 15 minutes, you're just eating and talking and being bored together. And sometimes there's funny conversation, but sometimes it's quiet. And that's okay. In that simplicity, something happens. The anxiety decreases because your nervous system is getting what it actually needs, which isn't more stimulation. It's less. It's regulation. It's the presence of another person who's not trying to optimize the moment, just living it. I want you to think about your own life right now. When was the last time you sat with someone and weren't performing? When was the last time you had a conversation where you weren't simultaneously checking to see how many people liked what you said? When was the last time you did something, completed it, and didn't immediately look for validation? That deprivation, that's what's making you anxious, not the lack of complexity, the lack of simplicity. Here's what I want you to understand as we come toward the end of this. That campfire breakfast 15 years ago didn't change my life because the food was exceptional. It changed my life because I was given back something I'd lost. The ability to be present, the ability to be satisfied with something simple, the ability to let a moment just be a moment without needing it to be more. And my wife, Sarah, she noticed it. She said, "You're different, you're less worried." And I was, because I had started a process of unlearning. Unlearning that more is always better. Unlearning that simplicity is failure. Unlearning that my worth is measured in what I produce. I started making breakfast simple. I made my coffee routine simple. I made my evening routine simple. And something remarkable happened. I had more energy. Not because I was doing more, because I was doing less. I was carrying less. I was worried less. My mind had space again. Here's what I need you to hear in your bones. The things you're anxious about, the things that keep you awake at 4 in the morning, they're not usually about the complexity itself. They're about what the complexity represents. A belief that you're not enough. A belief that you have to prove something. A belief that if you stop striving, if you become ordinary, then you'll cease to matter. But what if I told you that the opposite is true? What if the moment you stop trying to be exceptional, the moment you accept your ordinary, beautiful, flawed humanity, the moment you sit down and just have breakfast, that's when you actually start living. That's the promise of the gospel. You don't have to earn this. You don't have to optimize this. You don't have to perform this. You're already enough. You're already known. You're already loved. Martha eventually understood this. Not in the moment, but eventually. She had to let go of the belief that her worth was in her work. She had to sit down. And when she did, everything changed. I want that for you. I want you to have one simple meal this week where you're not trying to make it perfect, where you're not thinking about whether it's good enough or whether anyone's watching or whether this represents you well. You just make something simple. You eat it, and you're present for it. That's the work. That's all the work. Presence, simplicity, connection. So here's my question for you in the comments. What's one thing you've made too complicated? What's one simple thing in your life that you've turned into a project? Tell me. Name it. Because once you name it, once you acknowledge it, you can start to undo it. And undoing it might be the most important thing you do this year. If this conversation landed for you, subscribe. Come back. There's a lot more we need to talk about. And if you're still sitting with that weight on your chest, the one from 4 in the morning, just know this. It doesn't have to be there. You can put down the need to be perfect. You can have breakfast, just breakfast, nothing more. And it will be enough. You will be enough.